It's a beautiful day outside. The birds are singing.
Undertale. Exactly 1 year ago today, this game took to the surface of the internet as one of the most popular RPGs of the year. It was so successful, people were giving this game 10 out of 10. Flawless. A masterpiece. It stood out as unique because of its interesting choices in combat, encouraging you not to fight, but rather to embrace pacifism by using the ability to act your way out of risky situations. With the choice of genocide on your back, the game was focused on your choices as a person, and making your way through the game you always had the option to kill. It was the player's decision which path to take, and people loved it. Shortly after the overwhelming success of the game, the fanbase grew to be active and strong. In the past year, the Undertale community has blossomed and every day is only growing. It even has its own active subreddit. And browse if you may, but whatever you do, try not to spell Undertale wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong, I won't judge you if you like that kind of thing. For example, if you really like this character, or this character. These characters? So my question is, why did it get so popular? Why did a game like Undertale get overwhelming positivity across the board? Well, today I'd like to analyze how this game stands a year after its release, what the game does right, what the game does wrong, and maybe after giving it another look, we can determine once and for all if it's truly as good as they say it is. So today's review will be going on the Mighty Penguin scale, so that means we're gonna focus on the pros and the cons of Undertale. Undertale, as you probably know, was released on September 15th, 2015. Created by Toby Fox, ratings have been overwhelmingly positive across all reviews, barely making this a forgettable game, nor a game that is excused from heavy criticism. So after 1 full year of being exposed to the Undertale community, and I personally playing this game multiple times, I want to give you a completely honest review of this game and where I think it stands today. You see this box? You see it? These are my biases. This box contains the ultimate bias based on my opinion of the game Undertale. I played it 2 more times on both routes, being as critical as possible. If this upsets you, just remember that this game has sold nearly 2 million copies, and it's basically unbreakable at this point. So anything I say, you can take with a grain of salt. Shouldn't need mentioning, this review will have massive spoilers. If you haven't played this game yet, and for some reason you still want to, go play it first. Or at this point, you can just watch someone else play it. I'm saying this because I know how angry the community gets when you forget to add a spoiler warning. Without this little disclaimer, I will get burned at the stake. Here's a little disclaimer. All good. Alright, as returns to the flower, you're actually playing as Fritz. You go Osgood and Flower turns to this thing. You fight Santa and Jazz, wrong husband and wife. Santa's objectively that one character from Earthbound. The main character will always be gentlest. Flower is the purple guy, and Kara is the character you name in the beginning of the game. But of course, you knew this already because you totally didn't just ignore my spoiler warning.
Hey! I thought you said this review was gonna have no spoilers!
No, like I said, this review will have spoilers.
No, you got inside tonight. Fucking piece of shit.
But anyway, let's get back into the review. So to maintain the flow of this review, we're gonna start with the cons. What does this game do wrong? What are its flaws? What doesn't tickle my metaphorically enhanced pickle? Let's find out. Let's start from the beginning. So the game starts with this opening sequence that is incredibly generic. Not necessarily bad, just very cliche. Only then are you greeted by a flower.
A goat turns into a flower, then back into a goat. That's just the circle of life.
And that's the only strength I could find with the beginning of this game. Flowey is the first character you meet, and probably one of the most interesting characters in the game from the get-go, but it's after that you meet Toriel, then the game slows down a bit. It tries to help you understand that this world you've been dropped in is filled with puzzles, mystery, monsters, and that's great and all, just a shame it's super boring. Allow me to explain. The first 45 minutes after you meet Flowey reminds me of the first act of Fallout 3. If you played Fallout 3, you know exactly what I mean. Undertale unfortunately felt like that at times. The ruins certainly have an atmosphere that is leagues better than Fallout 3's painfully claustrophobic opening, but I couldn't help but feel like I'm not quite satisfied walking around and seeing purple, red, a little green. It sadly has that curse that many RPGs have where after the first few scenes, you have to drag along a bit. I've talked to many people who say Undertale is boring, it drags on too much, it lost my interest, and a good amount of them stopped playing after the first 30 minutes, and I don't blame them. It's pretty sad actually knowing there are people out there who didn't think this game was worth their time because of the first 45 minutes. I can understand the declining of interest when you're just walking through closed spaces and have to deal with the hand-holding sections and the seemingly forced humor that is the I'm gonna let you on your own but not really because I'm behind this pillar the whole time kind of thing. Like tutorial, you're cool and all, but I'm a big boy now. Or girl. This character is androgynous. Not to mention the beginning just feels like a grind. The monsters eventually get very repetitive and it can be a bit annoying to see Froggets and Whimsums over and over again when you just want to get to the door. I was talking to somebody on the internet who said they didn't like this game because this game feels like Pokemon if the entire floor was grass, which is arguably a bit of a stretch and probably from someone who's never played games like Earthbound before, but I guess I can see where they're coming from. Not really. I'm sorry man, your analogy is fucking stupid. What I'm trying to say is, it gets kind of annoying when I'm trying to finish a puzzle and a Frogget appears inches from the door, you know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for Flowey's interestingly creepy and self-aware personality and the game's main story to look forward to, I would have lost interest pretty quickly. And this will probably get me a few hate comments if I haven't gotten those already, but at first glance the art style isn't the best.
How dare you say that about the best game ever, Undertale? Undertale has a unique art style that is inspired by Earthbound. I am triggered. Die.
The artistic choices of course are very subjective and all depends on if you're willing to look past the graphics, which in some situations looks great and other times not as great. And I think that's part of the reason why you have people who either love this game or absolutely hate it, bearing in mind the special snowflakes who have a different opinion just to have a different opinion. When I saw this game for the first time, I wasn't very intrigued by the graphics at first. I had to develop my fondness for it, which is unfortunate because I was this close to closing the game. And sure, you do meet Napstablook and a few interesting enemies to keep you going, but in retrospect, this game is not very appealing at first glance, and I gotta say without sugarcoating, the game starts off very strong, only to get very weak for a while, then finds its strength the longer you play. Which in my opinion is an inconsistency which may have been intentional, but still comes off as a little unappealing, and the artistic choices for some of the earlier scenes don't really help its case. The art style especially, while it grows on you after a while, I believe isn't its strongest point. The strongest point I believe is its story, and that's where we dive into the pros. My first pro for this game is going to do my previous cons some justice for the creator Toby Fox, who while making this game has said he is aware of typical RPG elements such as backtracking and incredibly tedious tutorials. For example, if you don't know and probably do, Toriel's name is a pun on the word tutorial, which would explain why she is literally hand-holding in the first sections of the game. It's things like that which partially excuse the fact that it has a pretty dull 45 minutes on its back. And the art style, like the story, progressively gets better as the game goes on. The more you play, the more the world opens up to you, and the art style gives this retro aesthetic a chance to shine. Because after going through some very tight linear purple hallways and bushes, it's refreshing to see areas like Snowden, Waterfall, Hotlands, and the most rewarding I think is getting to see Azrael's boss fight.
Bjorf.
It's when you finally fight Toriel that the game gets interesting. You're finally done with the introduction, and now you have to fight her. Or do you?
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here.
You either choose to spare 100 times, proving you're willing to not kill anyone, or you can kill her. This choice, this hopelessness, you keep pressing the spare button and nothing is happening. It makes the player feel backed into a corner, and most people like me would think, am I supposed to kill her? And that's what makes this game great. It dissolves the illusion of choice by giving you actual choices. Then assuming you didn't kill her, Toriel then hugs you out of the ruins. And you meet Flowey once again. Flowey, like I said before, is one of the most interesting characters in the game, because he is aware of your ability to save. He knows you can delete your save file, and he knows if you killed someone and tried to cover it up. I think his self-awareness is what is supposed to motivate you, because you know he's always watching you. And I personally always wanted to know what he was gonna say or do next. Without a doubt in my mind, Flowey is a character that shows some serious character development, and was a character I was thinking about my entire first playthrough. I believe Flowey and all the characters in this game are the root to this game's success. Then you meet arguably the two most memorable characters in this game, Sans and Papyrus. Named after, of course, comic Sans and Papyrus, these characters stick through with you the entire game. Papyrus having a very loving but ignorant personality, and then Sans is the jokester who clearly has some sort of past, some history, knowledge of the city, the ability to travel through time, but might be next, so we won't talk about. That's when the puzzles actually get interesting. You learn about Papyrus through his puzzles and witty dialogue as you progress, and then the game starts to brighten up a bit. Clearly no more hand-holding, now you're really in the game and it's time to get immersed. You start to hear about these characters named Undyne, and that character looms above your head called Asgore. If you choose to befriend them, then they become your friends, and if you make the right choices of pacifism, you all will have to contribute to fight against Azrael, the son of Toriel and Asgore.
Can you please shut up about Undertale? No one
Okay. This game is mostly story-driven. All the characters are very memorable, and as I'm recording this, I could probably name every character in like 5 seconds. The characters are unique, your choices matter, and the story has heart. You know that saying, don't judge a book by its cover? Well, I almost did, and I'm really glad I didn't. I'm really glad I gave it a chance, because it is a very good game. So it was 4 in the morning and I was doing a blind playthrough of the pacifist route of Undertale. And I was at the point where I was tired and I just wanted to finish the game. Then Asgore straight up obliterates the mercy button and I was really confused. I was shocked. I was scrambling to find another option. I kept talking to him only to realize I only had one choice. I had to fight. I never even touched the fight button. I didn't even know what it looked like. And I was expected to fight the boss of this game without sparing, which at the time I assumed was the final boss, the hardest boss. So after some fighting, he tells me to take his soul and leave this place. I of course give him mercy. And the music carried this scene so well. It was so well executed, like many moments in this game, and the delivering, timing, pacing, and just everything about this scene was perfect. He starts talking about how we can live like a family, and you know what happens next. Flowey. I will admit, I cried a little bit, and I was only crying more when I had to fight this fucking monstrosity. And let's talk about that soundtrack for a minute. I think the soundtrack is the reason this game gave me the feels. Fuck you, Tumblr. This soundtrack is great. I listen to it in the car, brushing my teeth, working on a video. I'm probably listening to it right now while editing this, let's just be real. It's one of those soundtracks you have to adjust to. Most people tend to not notice it right away. You could be like me and for the entire game not notice it even has a soundtrack until the Asgore fight. But after listening to it a few times, it's one of my favorite video game soundtracks. Admittedly, the soundtrack does sometimes get inconsistent when a song like Burn in Despair just destroys the vibe. It's a little messy, but overall the soundtrack is pretty consistent in setting the mood for a scene or creating the atmosphere of a room. If you don't know anything about the soundtrack, you probably at least know or have heard Megalovania. Probably the most overplayed song in the known universe! I love this song so much, I taught myself how to play it over the summer. It's one of the few songs I can play on the piano, and you even heard a remix of Megalovania in the intro. I've listened to these songs so many times, a few of them have even become part of my daily routine. For example, Death by Glamour has become my workout song in the last few months. Asgore when I'm busy.
I'm gonna continue hacking into these government systems to see what I can find out.
Spears of Justice when I'm brushing my teeth. And of course, Megalovania literally anywhere.
I'm in China!
And I also have to acknowledge Undertale. I think my favorite part about this game is how often it surprised me. Whether it be finding out who Flowey really is, learning about the self-aware gestures at the player, Metaton X, or the infamously challenging Sans fight, or even just reading words on the screen, hoping I'll see more of those words, grasping onto the hope that I truly can save everyone. But unfortunately, we all know that isn't quite possible. And I barely talked about the core game mechanics. They're very well executed, and the bullet hell style is definitely very fun and well designed. It's a huge part of the game that's focused on memory and coordination, and it's essential to completing the game. And I wouldn't change a thing about it, as it only adds to the immersion and keeps me motivated to progress through the game. Such a simple gameplay mechanic is stretched and played with in many ways to make the game as fresh as possible, and it's executed near flawlessly. I'm honestly running out of things to say. It's just a great game, and there's a lot I didn't even mention. I genuinely think this is a fantastic game. My only real issue with this game is the first act, but if you pull through and give it a chance to shine, you won't be disappointed. It's heartwarming, filled with adventure, and overall an intriguing and well-designed twist on the typical RPG, displaying memorable characters, a well-developed story that is not only giving a sense of scale, but makes it clear this game has history, lore, and science behind it, and of course the beautiful soundtrack. I love this game. Really, I was simply speechless after my first pacifist playthrough. There is so much to explore, so much heart was put into this game to make it the best it could possibly be, and I don't plan to forget it anytime soon. So where does this game go on the Mighty Penguin scale? As much as I'd love to say 10 out of 10, unfortunately there were a few issues with it I couldn't quite let slide, so we're gonna give it a 9 out of 10. This game gets the Penguin seal of approval. Undertale is a game that is very story heavy, and while there are some issues with the first hour of the game, after a full playthrough it left me very satisfied, and I can definitely see it being the model RPG for the games of the future. I mean, I wouldn't give it to the Pope or anything, but you know, it's a great game. You don't give video games to the Pope. But in all seriousness, I think what's most important is the community that has come out of it. Some may argue it's toxic or cringeworthy, and arguably you would be right. Like any fandom, there's always some things that aren't quite golden. But I have to acknowledge the Undertale fans all around the world that have made so much art, animation, music, stories, theories, games even, all based around this indie game created by Toby Fox in collaboration with Temmie Chang. The community is still very strong and has only been growing this past year, making this game a one-hit wonder that will be remembered for many years to come. If Toby ever makes another game, I'll be sure to think twice before judging a book by its cover like I almost did with Undertale. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to leave a like. And as always, good vibes everyone. Hey, thanks again for watching. What you're listening to right now is an It's Raining Somewhere Else remix by SharaX. I've been using these for my last few videos, so please go check out their channel in the description. Also, thank you to Lord Bung for the main art you saw in this video. And of course, thank you Christina Wonders for the avatars I've been using since the beginning of my channel. I'll still be using the old avatars in my thumbnails, because I do love them and don't think they should be forgotten. And of course, thank you Zapdai, Ale, and Sinnoh for seeing potential in my channel. You guys are all awesome. All the people I just mentioned are in the description. And thank you so much for watching. I didn't make one determination joke in this video. I'm pretty proud of myself. If this video filled you with determination, leave a like. No. Fuck that, God.